Gospel 1360. Gloria Leonard Ministries presents Preparing Hearts, Changing Lives radio broadcast. Preparing Hearts, Changing Lives talk show pursuing family wholeness. We're doing a new thing. We're making a way in the desert to reclaim and regain what the devil has stolen. Be aware this show can be informative and controversial. Tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:15 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. and on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. For more information and bookings, visit www.glminphcl.net. That's www.glminphcl.net. Or call 877-232-0255. Now, here's your host, Gloria Leonard.
Good morning, listening audience. We're here again with Ms. Joanne Goody, and Mr. Barry Lynn is with us today, and we'll be talking about finances. Well, first of all, what I like to do is to encourage you to donate monies for the toy drive here at KWWJ. You can contact Pastor Griffin or the secretary and call in, and they're raising money especially for children for help to get bicycles. You can buy 1 bicycle, 2 bicycles, or 20 bicycles. We don't really care. And if you live in the Beaumont area, you need to contact Dee up there and give her the information that you're willing to donate and to give money toward the bicycle drive. And you can drop or send off the donation to KZZB 990 AM 2531 Calder Avenue, Beaumont, Texas 77702. Again, I'm encouraging you to donate toward this bicycle drive for the children for Christmas. And I know that we have people out there that do not celebrate Christmas. But my spin on it, how can you celebrate the resurrection if you deny the birth? So therefore, will you please donate to this worthwhile cause? Again, I like to say we have Mr. Barry Lynn here in the place, and we'll be talking about retirement strategies, and he's with the Guardian Life Insurance Company. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Barry Lynn.
Gloria, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be on the show and provide what I believe is very critical information to your listening audience. I have over about 20 years experience in the business, and the reason why I started doing this, about 3 to 4 years ago, I sat in a meeting down in Austin, Texas with my firm, and there were about 30 people in the room, and to my surprise, or lack of surprise, none of them looked like me. And we discussed some very critical information about things that were evolving in the economy, changes that were occurring in the economy. And I felt that at that time, this was extremely important information that people in our communities really need to have some awareness of, because our communities basically are the last to get very critical information. And the nature of this information is such that if we're not aware of what's really happening in the country and how it's going to impact us in our communities, we're really not going to be in a position to make solid financial decisions that will benefit us as we move forward. So it's absolutely my pleasure to have an opportunity to discuss the information with your listening audience.
And Mr. Lynn, kind of tell us a little bit about your personal, your educational, your background, if you're married, family.
I am married. I've been married to Charlotte Lynn for 16 years. I'm originally from New York City. I attended Grambling State University a long time ago. And I moved to Houston in 1984, started out with Merrill Lynch. Worked with a number of firms, and Started out with Guardian Life about 3 years ago, and I've been there since, and really felt like, as I mentioned earlier, that the information that we discuss is really something that has to be brought to light in our communities.
Well, I'm just extremely pleased. This is Joanne from Fit Just For You, for Mr. Berry to be with us this morning. I had the opportunity to hear him at a Fort Bend County Black Nurses Association meeting, and I felt the information was so critical that more of our community really needed to hear and act on what the information he will be sharing with us this morning. So, again, Mr. Berry, can I call you Berry?
You certainly can.
We really appreciate you being here this morning and to share some very important and valuable information.
Let's talk, let the listening audience know how they can contact you once we finish the broadcast, or just have this information available and they can pass it on to someone else. So what are your contact information?
Well, I urge people to really think about the information that we'll share. And for everyone that wants to get a better idea of how this will impact them personally and their families personally, feel welcome to contact me at 832-308-7218. And my mobile number is 832-628-0683. I am always open to sitting down with anybody. There is no monetary cost for the information, so I look forward to really sitting down with people and giving them ideas once we educate them to what's happening in the country and how it's going to impact them, providing ideas on some things that they can do to be in a better position and be prepared for the changes that are going to occur. We will also be providing a financial freedom workshop at the Greater St. Matthew's Baptist Church on the main campus on November 23rd. Registration is at 8 o'clock. We have a panel of experts that will talk about a variety of topics. We will be talking about what you need to do to prepare your children financially to be able to go to college. We have a minority recruiter, Miss Masadi Porter, who will be talking about that. We have an estate planning attorney that will talk about the importance of wills and trust, Miss Christine Willie Sampson. She's been in that field for over 20 years. She will be there to discuss some information that's important for our communities, to talk about legacy, things that we can do to provide benefits for our succeeding generations. I will be doing the piece on financial awareness, and we also have a team of experts from the American Workers Insurance Corporation that will be talking about the Affordable Care Act, or better known as Obamacare. There's a lot of concern about how the new health care laws will impact us. They're experts in this, and they will be giving some information. That's Nikki Johnson and her husband Roy Johnson, and also Miss Monica Willie will be on the program talking about things that we need to be aware of to maintain credit, how we can prepare our credit, and the things that impact our credit rating. So we're trying to cover key financial information across the board that we feel will be impactful for all members of families in our communities.
Again, the date of the conference, the time.
The date will be November 23rd at the Greater St. Matthew Baptist Church, the Main Street campus, and the registration will start at 8 o'clock. The program will start right around 8:30, between 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and it will run till about 12 noon.
Is there a fee?
There is no fee.
That sounds good to me. Okay, since we're going to talk about retirement strategies, in essence, what do that mean? Because there are a lot of people already retired.
Well, we generally spend less than 5 minutes in our lifetime really thinking about what we need to do to retire. In 1965, the average life expectancy in the country was about 70 years. Now we have people across the board living well into their 90s. So if we retired at 65, and the retirement age generally has remained the same, if we retired at 65 and we lived to our early 70s, we basically just had to survive retirement. But now if we retire at 65 or 70, because a lot of us will find that we have to work later, we could live well into our 90s. I have a great aunt who is 96 years old and can still sit down and hold a conversation. My mother is 87 years old. So people in past generations are already starting to live longer. We take better care of ourselves. We try to eat better. Everything that you hear about is about proper diets, getting enough rest. That combined with medical science and the improvements in medical science, we're now living longer. And that's the core issue with everything that's impacting our country right now, is that people are living so much longer. It's straining the government resources. So you have to spend more time understanding how you have to plan for retirement, because in some cases, your retirement lifetime could be almost as long as your working career. So everything that you do, every financial decision that you make has to be able to sustain you in a lot of cases for 25 or 30 years.
And if you have any questions for Barry, you can call us at 281-837-2222. Again, the number is 281-837-2222. He's here to talk about not only about retirement, but any other question that you might have in reference to your money matters. Now, Barry, I know once you're employed and everything, and your employer in most areas have a retirement plan for you set up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, if your employer say, I'm going to put in a certain amount of money and you match that.
Right.
Okay, now, suppose they terminate you. What happened to the part that he put in?
Well, if you're vested, then the portion that your employer contributed to your plan you get to keep.
Okay.
Vesting periods vary from company to company.
So tell them what vested means.
Well, vesting means that you have to remain with that company or that entity for X number of years. And after that number of years, you are considered to be vested in whatever type of retirement plan the company sponsors for its employees. And whatever monies that the corporation contributed towards your retirement, you get to keep those dollars. Now, the big issue with that, Gloria, and this is what people need to understand, in 1976, that's when 401ks were first implemented. It was implemented to be a supplement to a pension. As we know, most companies have begun or have already eliminated pensions. In the last 3 to 5 years, there have been about 3,600 major Fortune 500 companies that have completely eliminated pensions. So that's one area of our retirement cash flow we no longer have. Most people no longer have that. When the 401k was implemented, we had marginal tax rates that range from 50 to 70% maximum. So if I'm a 40-year-old executive making, let's say, $300,000 at that time, it made a lot of sense for me to have the opportunity to defer some of my income, decrease my taxes, and save that money and not have to pay tax. Fast forward to today, we have the lowest marginal tax rates in American history. The average marginal tax rate is around 25%. So if you're in a 25% marginal tax rate and you're deferring money to pay taxes on later, we'll talk about this later, but because of the extreme level of the deficits in the United States, it's inevitable that we will see higher taxes. So as opposed to that person who started out in 77, who deferred money at a higher rate to pay taxes today at a lower rate, we could be deferring taxes at a lower rate and potentially paying out taxes once we retire and no longer have an income at a higher rate.
But do that make sense?
It doesn't make sense. It's reverse tax planning.
That doesn't sound like a good plan.
It's not. But the financial services industry, it does a disservice to the American public by still having people do the same thing. And, this is what we have been trained to do for over 30 years. So this is all we know.
Okay, now, I know that, and you know also, since you're in the market, that 401k have lost money.
Yes.
So what happened to those persons that are in those 401ks? They have lost money. They're close to retirement. How can they manage?
Well, Gloria, that's the biggest problem that I see. And at Guardian, I'm a senior advisor. I manage other advisors. I conduct their meetings. So I sit in probably 15 to 20 meetings a week seeing people. And everyone that I see, I would say 90+% of all the people I see only save money in a 401k or a 403b, all the so-called retirement accounts. They don't save outside those accounts. And that creates a couple of problems. We don't save money in our regular savings. We don't have a cash reserve. So if we get into trouble, we're going into that 401k, we're paying the taxes, we're paying the 10% penalty unless we take a loan. So now we're taking money out that we should be saving towards retirement. So it's a backward strategy. The other part of that, as you mentioned, is that we are basically investing money on a monthly basis in mutual funds, which are a combination of stocks or bonds or a variety of different types of investments. All of those types of investments place your assets at market risk. The thing I try to stress to people is if you're a baby boomer, anybody that was born between 1946 and 64 is considered a baby boomer. That's the largest segment of the country's population. We're about 80 million strong. If you're in that segment of the population, does it make sense to save the only money that you have saved towards your retirement? We've already talked about the fact that we could live far longer. Does it make sense to save the only money you have in areas that could go down in another market downturn? Doesn't make sense, but that's what we do. We are the richest country in the world, but we're the poorest savers. Because of our lack of saving, we chase rates of return. We're hoping that we get a high rate of return to make up for our poor saving habits. So essentially what we're doing, most of us don't really know what we're investing in. We have someone says, you want to diversify, and diversifying is having your money going in a variety of different funds, but we don't know what they do, what could trigger them to go down, but we put our money in those things anyway. So we're placing money, throwing money in the mutual funds on a monthly basis and hoping for a good outcome. But if we see another 2008, if we see another 2001, the dot-com disaster, everyone that is approaching, considering retirement is at the same risk. All of the same factors that were in place in 2008 still exist today. There are a lot of analysts. More and more people are saying that there is so much risk in the market. So what I advise the people that I talk to is if this is the only money you have, then do what's called a free exchange. Every mutual fund class or group allows you to exchange money at no cost out of the funds that are at market risk into a money market, which is just like a checking or savings where you don't have the risk. The idea has to be not to try to get rich anymore. There's too much risk in the market. The idea has to be to preserve the money you have.
Again, if you have any questions for Barry, would you please call us at 281-837-2222. And also, he will mention again the workshop that's coming up on the 22nd?
The 23rd.
The 23rd.
That's a Saturday.
That's a Saturday, and time again?
The registration is at 8 o'clock. The panel should begin making presentations around 8:30. And we run until noon at the Greater St. Matthew's Baptist Church at the South Main campus.
And, Joanne?
Yeah, I have a question for those individuals like myself. I'm 65 years of age, in good health, was blessed to have a pension as well as my Social Security. But what do you say to those individuals as far as, because there's a segment that's 65 plus years of age who may not have the benefits of that pension and Social Security. What do you say to those individuals, who you expect to live for the next 30, 40 years, how to help them in their finances at this point in time in life?
I'd like to say something Tom Perry said. They need to get them a cat if they want to plan to live 30 or 40 years after retirement.
A cat?
It's been a cat, a dog, a fish, something you can roll your eyes at.
That cat would not put a dime in my bank account.
No, but it'll help you live longer, because there's statistics saying that once you retire, that you live 7 years unless you have something in the house that you can talk to, that's moving around, that you can take care of. So that's why I say get you a cat, because I got all of them.
Joanna, I'm going to preface your question by saying this, and I didn't mention this. I've been doing these seminars for over a year. I've gone to churches, breakfast exchanges, civic organizations. We've done some tapings for some digital television shows that we're working on. In prefacing the question about what should people do who are already retired, there's a couple things that they need to understand. We will have higher taxes. We have to prepare for the inevitability of higher taxes. And the reason why, if you think about this, and you heard me mention this at the presentation I gave to your organization a couple of weeks ago, the country right now the United States has $17 trillion debt. We only collect in tax revenues roughly $2.5 trillion a year. How do we pay off $17 trillion? We're only collecting $2 trillion a year. For every dollar the government spends, it is borrowing roughly 35 cents on every dollar. So that's a third of all the money that we spend on government operations, and that's Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, food stamps, education. We're having to borrow a third of all the money we spend. The government needs roughly about $8 trillion to manage all of its operations a year, and again, we're collecting $2.5 trillion. We're led to believe that the deficit is that $17 trillion. But again, I go back to the baby boomers. That's 80 million people, and 300,000 of us every day are turning 65 and becoming Medicare eligible. Okay? So with all the promises for health care benefits, for pension benefits, for Medicare, Social Security, for all the benefits that have been promised to the baby boomers, that is an unfunded liability that the government will have in the future, and the estimates range from $120 trillion to $220 trillion. That can never be paid. So we are looking at a combination, and the government has not done this because it fears the effects of a recession. If we raise taxes, cut programs, you have more people that become unemployed. It's projected that unemployment could go to 10, 11%. More money is taken out of our pockets. We spend less. Corporations' profits go down. It negatively impacts the economy. So there is no solution to this. The only solution is that we become less dependent on the government. What people have to realize who are already retired is that, first of all, a pension is flat. Okay, so if you get $4,000 today, that's all you're ever going to get. One of the things we haven't talked about, we touched briefly about lower benefits because we're going to get lower benefits from Social Security and Medicare. We talked about a little bit about the potential for higher taxes, but the biggest thief in the night is inflation. And if you think about 10 years ago, what did a gallon of gas cost versus what it costs now, or a gallon of milk? That's not gonna level out. It's gonna continue to go up. So the cost of living goes up, and that pension stays flat. It creates a gap between what you need and what you have actually to spend.
Okay, Barry. Now, people are under the impression, or even myself, is that we have paid into our retirement plan.
That's correct.
We paid into our retirement plan, so why the government do not want us to benefit from the retirement money?
Well, Gloria, when Social Security was first created, you basically had about 15 people working to every Social Security beneficiary. Okay? Now that ratio was down to about 3 to 1. Okay? Social Security for the last 3 years has been running an average deficit of about $45 billion.
But hold on. But when the president, he has executive privileges over that money, and they take money out of Social Security to finance and fund other avenues, that's a problem too?
That is a problem. But it's not. And one of the things I tell people, there's really no blame that can be assigned. If we had an average life expectancy of 70, and now it can go well into your 90s, even into your hundreds, there's just no solution to that unless we increase taxes and cut benefits. People have to understand that the way Medicare is designed, which is the country's biggest expense, the way Social Security is designed, it's no longer sustainable. It's not sustainable today before the majority of 80 million people begin to retire.
Okay, help me to understand this. You say Medicare and all of that. That money is already...
It's already been taken out, yes.
Yes.
We pay Medicare tax and we pay Social Security.
Yes.
Okay? And I realize that, but again, we've got that ratio that used to be 15 to 1 that is now 3 to 4 to 1.
Are you saying people that are working or non-working people?
Right. For when Social Security was first created, you had 15 people working to every one person that was receiving Social Security. And they on average probably receive Social Security for about 7-8 years.
Okay, so then don't you think that we should look at the economic impact that causes the number of people that are unemployed? Because if people that can economically work, make money, they can put something in instead of having all the number of people unemployed.
Absolutely. The high level of unemployment that we've seen over the last years means that that's less tax revenue that comes to the government. Mm-hmm. So that definitely has an impact. But unfortunately, because of the downturn that we saw since 2008, most companies have trimmed their workforces.
But you have to go 2008. Look when the Republicans shut down the government. All that money that we lost. We lost money when the Republicans shut down the government because, our government really can't come to a consensus on how to deal with these issues. But how you get that money back? Can you recoup that money or it's just gone? That money's gone, basically. You can't recoup that money. It's the time value of money that's been lost forever. Okay. Again, close it out. Closing statement. I would say that we have to stop depending on the government. There's an over-reliance, particularly in our communities, on Social Security. But we pay into that. I understand, but during the government shutdown, I saw a lady on television that really made a profound statement, in my opinion. She said that we have to stop depending on the government. We have to be more independent and take care of ourselves. That's what it really boils down to. We have to look at doing things differently that will prepare us, because our situation here in this country is not going to get better. It's going to get more difficult. Well, if that's the case, then the government needs to stop taking our monies out of our checks that we don't see, so then we can take care of ourselves. And again, give your phone number, your location of your business so people can contact you. I would urge people to find out what they can do to overcome these problems. I can be reached at 832-308-7218. Look forward to hearing from people. Love to give you some ideas and some things that you can do to prevent you being impacted by all these issues that are occurring in the country. Again, this is Barry Lynn. He's with Guardian Life Insurance. So give him a call. Number? 832-308-7218.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well.
You've been listening to Gloria Leonard Ministries' Preparing Hearts, Changing Lives radio broadcast. To receive a copy of this show or other shows, contact Gloria Leonard Ministries at 877-232-0255 or visit online at glminphcl.net. Send check or money order for $15 to P.O. Box 45715, Houston, Texas 77245 with the date of the show. If you enjoy this show and the information it provides and you'd like to just support the ministry, make your donations at Gloria Leonard Ministries website by logging on to glminphcl.net and clicking on the donation button. PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, and American Express accepted. For more information and bookings, call 877-232-0255. That's 877-232-0255. Make sure you tune in every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11:15 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. And on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., where our mission is to reclaim, regain, and reunite families through prayer and to rescue our children from all unwholesome activities through prayer.
They can't take away my dignity because of
Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who are you? Are we the same? Are you sure? The one thing that I am sure of is that we are all beautiful children of God with a divine power deeply rooted within us.